my channel. If you're new here, then hello, I am Kaya, and today I am going to be talking about the fact that we have gone back to rehearsals for the first time in over a year, which is crazy. So if you didn't know, I am involved with a company called Getty Theatre Company, and we are currently doing Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which is so exciting. If you don't know, last year we were meant to be doing Bad Girls before Joseph, and basically it was the week of the get-in and we were told that we had to shut because we went into lockdown, and literally the next week we were meant to be performing on the stage. So everything was packed and everything was ready to go, and we obviously had to stop. So yeah, as I say, we've not been back since March last year, which is so exciting. Last year we had like a Zoom call kind of thing to sort out stuff for Joseph, because we were obviously hoping to be back doing theatre stuff for September, and we were meant to be performing in September, but now obviously we are back and we are properly rehearsing. Well, we're not properly rehearsing, but I'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, we are back at rehearsals and we are rehearsing for Joseph, ready for September. So if you haven't already, please go and get your tickets for Joseph, come and support us, and also don't forget to like and comment and subscribe down below, and check out all the links in the description, including the tickets. So I asked you guys for some questions for me talking about going back to theatre life after lockdown, and this is basically all you've given me. So thank you to everyone who asked me a question. If you'd like to get involved with future videos, then go and follow my socials, because I'm always asking over there, and just listen out for in some of my weekly vlogs, because I do ask in there as well. But yeah, I'll get into the questions. So first question: are you excited to be doing Joseph as your first show back? Of course I am. Like, Joseph is such a well-known show, and I worked Joseph when the tour came to Derby Theatre, and Joseph is just one of those shows that you can't not love. Yes, I've heard it way too many times now, but you know, it's still a good show, you know. I was kind of hoping that we were going to be doing the Bad Girls first, because that's obviously what we were meant to be doing last year, but I'm hoping that we're going to do Bad Girls again at some point, but who knows. How did you feel when you arrived at the first rehearsal back? I'm going to be honest with you, I was very nervous for rehearsals and starting back, socialising with people again basically, because obviously I've been working a lot and I do work in theatre, but we've not obviously been able to do events, so we've been doing like outdoor dining, so yeah, it's very different, and actually seeing people for the first time in over a year was absolutely mental, and it was so nice, and I genuinely had forgotten how nice it is to be a part of that group, and we have a lot of newbies as well joining us. Some of our original people have left, which is kind of sad, but we have got a lot of newbies as well, which is kind of exciting, and a lot of those I already knew from different companies, so that was fun. So yeah, I'm very excited to be doing Joseph. How has COVID affected the first few rehearsals? So with the rules being what they are at the minute, we obviously have to keep our distance, we have to have the doors open, we have to have the windows open, we can't sing, which is obviously quite difficult when you're in a rehearsal for a musical, but yeah, we just have to be very careful, and it's literally like we come in, you get to your space, we learn what we're learning and leave again kind of thing. It's not like our original rehearsals, so you know, we've kind of got to just be aware of each other, be aware of the space, and you know, some of us have been like taking the time out if like you're doing like one-to-one kind of acting, if there's only 2 people needed or whatever, which isn't very often in the show, but you know, it's just like you just take it upon yourself to kind of like, you know, get out of the way of the space if you don't need to be in the space, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's made it more difficult, that's for sure, because obviously it's going to give us less time to learn dance routines, and like a lot of us are partner dancers in the show, because of obviously it's the brothers and then the mums and the wives and whatever we are. So yeah, we've just got to kind of just take it carefully and just hope that we remember. Are you scared to perform in front of an audience again? I am. I'm going to be honest. I am terrified, because I keep having like these thoughts that I'm just going to have a complete memory loss, and it has happened before. So it's going to be a scary thing, and I've kind of forgotten like what we need to do, like as far as when we turn up to the venue, when we check in, like there's a lot of stuff that I just need to be reminded of again, so I just need to get back into it basically and just hope for the best. How do you learn the songs with all the harmonies? So every MD that we have is very different in the way that they teach us the songs. Some of them that we've had before have literally been, we split it down into parts and we each learn it separately, and then we all come together and hope that it works basically. Other times we've literally just all done it together and we've just fended for ourselves, and like now, because obviously we have to, we can't sing together, so we have to do it electronically, and like our MD is like sending us over the tracks of the harmony that we need to sing, and then we just need to copy it and like follow it along with the score, and then eventually we'll obviously be able to slot everything in and sing together, and hopefully it's gonna work. But yeah, I need to properly like get on top of learning the songs, because that's my most difficult thing, is I have to listen to them. I cannot just read the music. Even though I can read music, I can't just read the music and know what I need to sing, if that makes sense. So it's going to be difficult, and it's going to be quite long, but hopefully we'll get there. Was there anything you've wanted to keep or have kept from a show, like a prop or a costume? So a lot of the shows that I've done have actually been our own costumes. So all the stuff that, like the Bad Girls, that was all my own stuff that I'd got. Or Shook Up was my own. Gatepost is pretty much, you know, you fend for yourself, apart from like the stuff that needs to be like a uniform, or like it needs to be the same, or it's a costume that you can't get, if that makes sense. So yeah, a lot of it's kind of, you do fend for yourself, and depending on the company whether they want to give you the costumes or whether they don't. As far as props are concerned, have I ever taken a prop away? I wanted, which was never going to happen, when we did Betty Blue Eyes. Betty is the pig, and there was a company who works with Central that makes props and stuff for them, and well, they're a separate company, but they also make them for them, and they made Betty animatronic, which was amazing. I'm not sure whether I actually inserted any footage of her, but if there is footage, it'll be in one of the rehearsal vlogs that I did, or show week or something like that. But there's definitely a picture somewhere of all the girls in our underwear with Betty, and Betty was the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen in my life. It was the most gorgeous prop. She was, she literally like, what's the word, snuffled her nose, and like she, like her ears moved, and like it was gorgeous, honestly. It was so cute. And if you don't know them, my favourite animal was pigs, so you know, I was in my element. So yeah, I definitely wanted to take Betty home, but that was definitely a no-no. Do you have to audition for roles, or are they assigned to you? Now, see, this is something that I actually don't know, because with Gatepost, I've only done All Shook Up. I wasn't in Jurassic Park, and Joseph, there isn't really apart from the narrator, there wasn't anything to audition for, but I do think there was auditions for it. I just obviously didn't go to the auditions because I just wanted to be in the ensemble. So I don't really know, I assume so. You have to audition to like get into the company in the first place. But then after you got in, I assume there's an audition process for parts, but I can't remember, I don't know, it's been so long. But yeah, other companies that I've been in, like Cladscope Players, we had to audition for the parts, and we had to most companies you have to audition to be in the company as well, obviously because they need to know that you're good enough. So the only thing that I've not had to do is audition when I went to do Betty Blue Eyes because they needed the character and I was asked to do it. I played Princess Elizabeth, so obviously the Queen, but when she was a princess. And that was a fun part to play, but it was quite difficult, so I basically had to do like a small audition to prove that I could sing the part, because it was quite high. I say quite high, it was very high. So I needed to just make sure that I could actually sing the part before I obviously went ahead and just carried on. And then I also did ensemble roles as well, which was quite fun. So yeah, it just depends on the company, it depends on what they want to do and their rules, etc, etc. Talking of Betty Blue Eyes, how did you get the role of Princess Elizabeth in Betty Blue Eyes? So I have worked with Central Musical Theatre Company for quite a while, but doing like technical or doing other things. And then I think it was the MD, she asked me, because I was quite involved with her at the time, she asked me if I wanted the part because basically no one else could do it or had already got a part, because it needed to be a 20-year-old woman basically, and there was no one that could do that part, and obviously I was then asked and I said yes. So yeah, as I just said, I did like a mini audition, so yeah, that was quite fun because it was literally just being put into a show without knowing that I was going to be in it, so that was fun. And it was perfect because it was about pigs, so we're all good. What was the most difficult thing you've had to do so far on stage, like dance, song or dialogue? Oh, interesting. I probably would say when we did Acorn Antiques, I had to put on an accent, and it was kind of like better letter, and it was like proper over the top, and it was so like dramatic. But yeah, it was actually quite difficult to make that character like such a big thing, if that makes sense. So I'd probably say that. What's your high point so far and biggest disappointment? Interesting. Biggest high point was probably when I played Wednesday Addams, and she was so fun to play, so different from anything I've ever done before. She was a proper like moody teenager kind of person. She was actually meant to be 18 in the show, but I was actually only 15 at the time, which was baffling. But yeah, it was so different and I loved it. I loved every second of it. And I even won an Eagle Award for it, so I was pretty happy about that. So that's probably my highest point. And then my biggest disappointment, it's going to sound really bad, but I got one of the minor roles in a panto one time, and a lot of stuff had cracked off, like with the show before and like during the first rehearsals and stuff, and it kind of made me like I didn't want to be there. And then during the first few rehearsals I was really struggling because I was constantly working and like I was just getting very stressed with stuff, and that was the time when I was in so many companies at the same time, and I basically had forgotten some of my lines, but a lot of the stuff I remembered. It was just like a small bit, but they decided in front of everyone that they were just going to turn around and be like, you're not getting the part, this person's going to have that part instead and you don't get the part. which absolutely devastated me, and it made me feel so tiny and like embarrassed, because it was just like, you've just said in front of everyone basically the fact that I'm not good enough, and it was just so like disappointing. I was so disappointed in myself more than anything, but it's just one of those things, like, that is theatre, but at the same time it should have been dealt with very differently. But anyway, I'm going to move on from that because it did annoy me, obviously. What's one show you've done that hit different? I keep going back to it, but probably Acorn Antiques, just because it was such a good show to be in. It was so funny, so witty, so quick, and it was an absolute nightmare, but it was absolutely horrendously good, and I loved being a part of that show. I really, really did. And there was so much involvement from everyone, and it was so good. So probably Acorn Antiques. Have you ever forgotten any lines or choreo, etc. whilst in the show? Yes. I've done this a few times now, I think. So the first time I kind of mainly did it was when I was in Adams, and there was one show, I think it was the matinee on the Saturday. It was very bad, like it went so badly, and somebody just didn't turn up on stage, and it completely threw me, so I couldn't carry on, and I didn't remember my lines. So yeah, that was kind of obviously kind of like, it was triggered rather than just randomly. Whereas the other two times was I was doing concerts actually, but they were like, one of them was like a concert, and one of them was like a kind of like, you were acting out the scene, still dancing and whatever, but singing the song, but it was only that one song. So yeah, and they kind of really put me off, because it was literally, I was singing a solo for both of them, separate solos, separate songs and whatever, but I forgot them completely, just completely had a mind blank, completely could not sing, like I froze, and it was so bad, like I will never forget that day. Yeah, it was horrendous, and I couldn't believe I'd done it, and yeah, it kind of ruined it for me. So it took me a while before I was confident enough, and I'm kind of, I don't think I've had like a proper main role or a solo properly since then, because I didn't want to audition for any, and I didn't want to be put in that position where I was going to do that again, because obviously, if you don't know, my memory is really not good. So it's only going to get worse with age, I suppose. So yeah, so it happens, and it's happened, and yeah. What's the most difficult show to do? I mean, I don't really know what you mean by that. I assume out of the ones that I've done, maybe the second time that I did Forbidden Planet. I feel like that was probably the most difficult, because it was all set in one place, and like there was no like moving around, there was no set changes or anything like that, and everything was so quick into the next thing. There was no costume changes or anything like that, but it was just so difficult to keep up where the hell we were. And also it's in Shakespeare, so yeah. Do you miss being in many different companies at the same time? Yes and no. I enjoy the shows, and I enjoyed my time with the companies that I was with, but now I've got to kind of like think about what I'm doing and settle down a bit more, I think, which is kind of what I did last year, when I was like, no, that's it, I'm just going to be in Gatepost and that's it. I mean, obviously when people are doing shows that I enjoy, and I'm a bit like, oh, I'm kind of jealous of the fact that, you know, they're doing that show that I want to do, kind of thing, but you know, it's not really an issue in that sense, because it's just one of those things, like it's always going to be the same, no matter what company I'm in, all the time. What is your favourite production you've been in? Interesting. Do you know, it's weird, like I've loved every single show that I've done, otherwise I wouldn't have done it, but I think I might have to say All Shook Up, just because it was a new company. It was the first adult company that I was properly in, as an adult rather than a teenager or anything like that. And it was a new start, and it was a new, completely different way of working, and I just really enjoyed it. And it was all 50s based, so it's all stuff that I love, and it was just so different, and I loved it, and I loved the music, and I loved it. I just loved every second of it. So yeah, and obviously the people were just really, really helpful, and they're nice, and they're like getting you involved even when you don't want to. So yeah, and that's kind of like the probably the biggest thing, is the fact that I never really used to socialise outside of rehearsals, but now I'm older, I kind of want to. Obviously still very anxious, but you know, I'm still wanting to. So yeah, I'm kind of got to a point where I'm settled where I am. What would you like to perform in the future? Interesting. I don't know. There's honestly so many shows I'd love to do. Like Wedding Singer is a good one that I want to be in, which I don't think I'm ever going to be in. Things like Legally Blonde, they're good. Yeah, there's a lot of shows. I could list so many, but I'm not going to bore you. What's the quickest outfit change you've had to do? Interesting. I actually don't know. I've done so many quick changes, I don't ever think about it. But there was definitely one that I know that I was literally like running off stage, taking my clothes off and shoving on the next outfit side stage. But I literally cannot remember what that was for or what costume it was. Because I was literally in my underwear like side stage, and that's what I remember. But I cannot remember what it was for. I think it might have been for Adam's family, and I had to go from the black dress to the yellow dress. I can't remember. Oh, that's really bad, but I can't remember. Okay, last question is, have you ever had to do anything on the tech side that made you scared? Oh, interesting. So, yeah. So I used to do dressing for Panto, and when we did Cinderella, there was a revolve in the stage, and we had to get Cinderella dressed like behind on the revolve. And it was an absolute nightmare, but it was so well timed, because you literally had to be on the stage getting a dress ready, literally yank it up her body, and then literally it would spin round and the whole thing would spin, and you had to be out the way before, you know, otherwise you would just kind of get stuck, and it was absolutely mental. But yeah, that's probably the most scared thing I've ever had to do, because other than that it's been lights or sound. That's not really a big issue, because you just either press a button or follow a spot in, or you're doing the sound, so not really. I've never been like properly backstage, like doing a show, don't think. So other than that, it's probably like moving flats or something, but I've never really done that. I've only done that on a Get In or Get Out. So yeah, that's probably it. Well, thank you to everyone who got involved and asked questions. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe down below, check out all the links, get your tickets, and yeah, I shall see you very, very soon for another video or vlog. Bye!